Okay. So first we will talk about the introductory part. We will learn about forensic psychology. Forensic psychology is nothing but the interaction between psychology and the legal system. It is nothing but the interaction between psychology and the legal system. It involves application of psychological principles to understand a criminal's behavior, to evaluate a criminal's behavior and assess witness credibility. If, for example, if a witness is taken into the court, we have to know that what he or she is stating is true or not. For that, we need to have someone who is well trained in forensic psychology and to provide treatment to offenders. In order to provide treatment to offenders, we need to know their psychological status. Only after that we can treat a patient who is mentally unstable or regarding who is not mentally stable, unfit that during that time. Next, we are going to discuss about where can we apply forensic psychology. Forensic psychology can be applied in legal settings like court, prisons, law enforcement, child custody cases, then workplace issues like harassment, which usually women face, and civil lawsuits for assessing psychological damages and competency. Next, we are going to learn about forensic psychologist and what is the scope of forensic psychology in India. A forensic psychologist is a trained psychologist, is not only a simple psychologist, he is a well-trained psychologist who applies their expertise in legal and criminal justice settings. If you guys need to have this notes, you can write it or either you can listen to this. Okay. So, a forensic psychologist is a trained psychologist who applies their expertise or their knowledge in legal and criminal justice system. So, in this process, they will assess an individual's uh, way of thinking, their conduct evaluations, and provide expert testimony. Expert testimony in the sense they will give testimony as witness expert. We I don't know. I hope you guys know about witness testimony, eyewitness, ear with that all, etc. Like that, we have expert testimony in which an expert is taken into the court and prove his statement. If I'm saying that I say that this person, I think this person is having a statement wrong, then I need to give a expert testimony regarding why I said that, and offer treatment to individuals within the legal system. To provide treatment, I have already discussed that. To provide treatment for the offenders, we have forensic psychologists. They also help in victim assistance. Uh, for example, if you take an example on a rape case, some victims may be psychologically unfit after the incident. So, in order to recover them from that situation, you can follow up with a forensic psychologist. Next is what is the scope of forensic psychologist in India? In India, forensic psychologists can work in legal settings like in court, in prisons, etc., uh, as well as in law enforcement. Then for child welfare, then they can do open a private practice section, and they can also do academics in schools and colleges as a counseling teacher, etc. Their opportunities including provide expert testimony in the court, therapy, research, and training. Next, we are going to talk about polygraph test. A polygraph test, which is popularly known as, we are not very familiar with polygraph, the word. Then we are very familiar with the word lie detector test. So the other name for polygraph test is lie detector test, which is used to prove truthfulness of a subject and measures and records several physiological indices such as so Polygraph test is nothing but it is an test which is used to know whether the statement provided by a subject is truth or not, uh, which is recorded according to the physiological changes that happens in his body. The physiological changes means it can be blood pressure, it can be pulse, it can be respiration or skin conductivity. This happens when a subject is asked to sit. When a subject, in case of a subject, we will ask a series of questions. When asking this series of questions, there will be changes in his blood pressure, pulse, respiration, and skin conductivity through which we can identify whether the person or the subject is truthful or not. This lie detection test is also known as deception detection. Okay, are you guys clear? I'm not getting any response.
Yes, yes.
Okay, next we will know about the objectives of polygraph technique. What are the main objectives of polygraph technique? To verify the veracity of the statement of suspect, witness, and complainant in all types of crime. It means that to verify the authenticity, to verify whether the statement provided by the suspect, witness, or subject is true or not in any type of crime. To replace the third degree method of interrogation in a scientific manner. Here, third degree method of interrogation states that, when the examiners or the investigators, when they cannot find the truth from the person, they usually go for something called physical torture, where they used to beat the suspect or whatever in order to get the details or in order to get the evidence. In order to replace this method, we use a scientific manner to extract the truth, that is polygraph technique. To examine white collar criminals, economic offenders, cyber criminals, and other offenders. The cyber crimes are widely happening nowadays. So, polygraph technique can be used in order to examine such kind of offenders, to corroborate or to refute the findings of the investigation, to make a conclusion or to find whether the evidences in the investigation are reliable or not. Next is principle. Principle of polygraph test. Polygraph test is based on the principle of psychosomatic interaction within an individual. Psychosomatic, maybe you guys will think it is an complicated word, but then it is nothing, but it is the interaction between the mind and body of an individual. It is the interaction or relation between the mind and body. If you take an example, myself, if an example, my mind, the relationship between my mind and my body is known as psychosomatic interaction. So polygraph test is based on the principle of the interaction or relation between the mind and body of any individual. This changes can be included as change in respiration, change in blood pressure, change in pulse rate, etc. This is the polygraph instrument which we use in order to uh, verify the truthfulness of a statement. We will learn more about each instrument practically as well as theoretically. Okay. This is Now we are going to talk about instrumentation. A polygraph instrument is basically a combination of medical devices that are used to monitor the changes that are occurring in our body. A polygraph instrument is a group or a combination of several medical devices. Some of the medical devices which we have come across very often, which are used to monitor the changes happening in the body. The changes we have discussed before, the respiration, blood pressure, pulse rate, etc., are the changes. In order to monitor these changes, uh, a series or combination of medical devices are used, which is commonly known as polygraph instrumentation, which comes under polygraph instrumentation. Next is we will learn about individually we will learn about each parts. First one is pneumograph tube. There are two pneumograph tubes. Here you can see that there are two black tubes which are wound around, one around the chest and one around the abdomen. These are known as pneumograph tubes. These pneumograph tubes, one is fastened or wound around the chest, and while the other is wound around the abdomen, which helps to measure the changes in respiratory pattern. When there is a change in the respiratory rate, this tubes helps us to define that changes. There are two tubes in this picture, one around the chest and one around the abdomen. These are the pneumograph tubes. Next is a blood pressure cuff or a sphygmomanometer, similar to the one used by physicians, is attached to the subject's upper arm. In this picture, you can see that there is a blood pressure cuff. I think most of you guys have come through this sphygmomanometer. When there is an increase or decrease in our blood pressure, we usually use this mechanism in order to define the changes. So this blood pressure cuff or sphygmomanometer is attached to the victim or subject's upper arm in order to indicate the changes in blood pressure. Next is electrodes or galvanograph, which are attached to the index and ring fingers of the hand, through which a weak electric current is passed to measure the galvanic skin response. This is nothing but electrodes or galvanograph. In this image, you can see that there are two black bands which are tied to the ring finger as well as the index fingers of the hand, which is used to which is through which a weak electric current, a very weak electric current is passed through this bands to measure the galvanic skin response. Galvanic skin response is that, for example, if you take a person, if he have committed a crime, he will when I ask something regarding the crime, he will be nervous. A person who is nervous generally produces sweat. So this sweat will react with this electric current, that weak electric current passed, through which we can understand the variation in the galvanic skin response. So when a person is nervous, he will sweat. This sweat will react with the weak electric current passed through these electrodes, which gives us the measurement of galvanic skin response. Next is plethysmograph. Plethysmograph is a transducer which is attached to the thumb. It is like this electrodes, or we have discussed about electrodes or galvanograph. Like that, it is a black band. Here you can observe that one black band is tied around his thumb, which is known as plethysmograph, which helps to measure the blood changes in blood volume with respect to pulse rate. These are electrodes or galvanographs. In this picture, we can see electrodes or galvanograph as well as blood pressure cuff. Next is questioning technique. How the questions are being asked to the subject. There are three basic techniques. First one is relevant or irrelevant techniques. That the ma'am has already discussed this. Relevant or irrelevant question technique. In this, both relevant as well as irrelevant questions regarding the case is asked to the person. Next is control question. Control question in the sense that no direct questions related to the crime is not asked. Direct questions regarding the case is not asked, but similar situation type questions which can evoke the feeling of concern in the person will be asked. In control question, no direct question regarding the investigation will be asked, but a similar situation in which it can evoke the feeling of concern in the person will be asked. Next is peak of tension questions. Peak of tension questions is that it is framed when some of the important details of the offense in question are not made known to the suspect. That means the subject is not given the details about the crime. He will be asked certain questions, but he will not know the what exact crime as has happened, or regarding what crime he is being questioned. He will not have any idea, but like he will have a basic idea, but important details of the offense will not be disclosed. And from that, the questions will be asked. The series of questions framed are first read to the subject, and later they are administered with the instrument attached. First, these questions will be asked to the subject, then later on, it is administered with the help of instrument attached. This is a view of a polygraph test example. Next is how to analyze a polygraph chart. So the polygraph chart is examined by a polygraph examiner by the following considering the following patterns: simultaneous occurrence in respiration and increase in blood pressure immediately after the subject's reply. Here, I will take an example as myself. Okay, if I have when answering the question, if I am being asked a question, I will be answering that. When I am answering that, and immediately if there is a simultaneous increase in the respiration as well as blood pressure, when I am answering a question, after answering immediately there will be a simultaneous increase both in respiration and blood pressure, which will be noted by the examiner. Next is heavier breathing immediately after reply to a relevant question. Usually, when we are asked a difficult question, when you will be given a difficult question, and after answering that, you will sigh like, "Oh, it is over. Oh, my turn is over," or like, "Oh, it is over. Finally over." There will be a heavier breath of sigh. That heavier breathing will be immediate reply. Immediately after the reply will be noted by the examiner. Next is decrease in blood pressure several seconds after the subject's reply. There will be a decrease in blood pressure, not immediately, but several seconds after replying to the question, the subject's blood pressure will decrease after few seconds, which will also be noted by the examiner to analyze the polygraph chart. This is an example of the polygraph chart. First one is thoracic respiration chart. Second one is graph. Next is abdominal respiration graph, electrodermal activity, and cardiovascular activity. These things, I think, I know it will be complicated for you guys, but it will be more easier when you guys go through practical section, which will happen later on. Next is working of polygraph test. So the working briefly involves the subject is asked about the crime he has committed. So in the situation, I think it will be more easier when you take it with an example. So I have committed a crime. I know that the crime I have committed is very offensive. So when I am asked a question regarding the crime, I will try my maximum to hide that, to hide or to answer truthfully. I will try my maximum not to answer truthfully so that I don't get punished. If you ask, you have you committed a crime, I have to say no because I don't want to get punished. I know that I have committed crime, but I am not. Uh, I will not truthfully answer the question, because if I truthfully answer the question, I know that I will be punished. So in order to avoid the punishment, I will lie. There is no other option for me. Either I have to answer truthfully or not. So in order to avoid punishment, I will lie. I will lie to the officer. So before lying, in my brain, so if before answering something, you will have a series of things going on in your brain, like what lie should I tell, how to tell. So there is a mental process going on. Before answering a question, I will be going through certain process inside my head to find the lies. This process, this shielding process, where I am trying to find the lie in order to not truthfully answer, this process is called defense mechanism. This process is called the defense mechanism of my brain to avoid answering the question truthfully. So, the defense mechanism interacts with the body and creates physiological changes in the form of increased blood pressure, increased respiration rate, increased heart rate, and lower GSR. GSR is galvanic skin response. So when I try to find the lie in my brain, my blood pressure will increase, my respiration rate will increase, my heartbeat will increase, and my galvanic skin response will become less, because I am trying to find a lie. I know that I am going to lie so that I will have a greater blood pressure, greater respiratory rate, and increased heart rate and lower GSR. These evaluations are done by psychologist, or he uses a computer to evaluate the results. Next is accuracy of polygraph test. Here we will learn about different or various concerns, societal concern regarding polygraph test. First one is reliability concerns. Some of the critics argue that polygraph tests, like the control question test, lack reliability and can yield false results. So some of the critics says that the polygraph tests lack reliability and can show false results. Next is interpretation bias. The examiner may be biased, which can affect the result. Like if it doesn't happen, but the societal concerns, one of the societal concern is that when the examiner is biased towards a subject, he or she will influence the results. Next is physiological variability. Each individual has different physiological response to anxiety, to nervousness, different physiological responses. The way I respond to anxiety is not the way you guys respond to anxiety. Maybe I will have higher blood pressure compared to other individuals. So there will be variability, physiological variability among individuals. Next is deceptive manipulation. Some individuals who are very deceptive can manipulate the responses. They can influence they can control their mind, or they can control their heartbeat. Such a process is called deceptive manipulation. They can manipulate the result. Next is innocent reaction. Innocent reaction in the sense, some people who doesn't know anything about such test or anything about the crime may be very anxious, very nervous, and due to which there will be a strong reactions in the graph. When I am not when I am introduced with something which I don't know anything about, I will be very nervous to attend, or I will be very anxious to know or sit there. My reactions will be very strong. Even if I haven't committed any crime, my heartbeats or respiratory rate will be very strong, because I am new to that concept. Next is expert caution. Experts advise against relying solely on polygraph for important decisions. When considering important cases or important decisions, uh, only relying solely relying on polygraph is not advised by the expert. Relying only on polygraph in order to make decisions for important cases are very minimal due to expert caution. Next is limited evidence. Due to limited evidence, psychologists uh, generally agree that due to limited evidence which supports polygraph accuracy, it doesn't work. These are all societal concerns which we come across. Okay, are you guys there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You can understand, right? Is there anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there
Yes,
anything?
ma'am.
Is there anything you're not understanding, or you need me explaining again?
Yes, ma'am.
I hope you guys understood. If there is any doubt, you can ask at the end, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Next is use of polygraph test. How to use or where to use polygraph test. First is criminal investigation, which is very common. We use polygraph test in order to gather information from suspect, witness, and verify whether they are stating the truth or not. Security clearances. In certain government jobs, we need access. In order to access sensitive information, we have to determine their eligibility, mental eligibility, age eligibility, whatever it is. We need to determine whether they are eligible for that, for passing that sensitive information. In order for that, polygraph tests are used. Next is private sectors screening. In private sectors or industries like banking and security, we have, in order to reduce the risk or minimize the risk, we use a polygraph test as a screening test. Next is therapeutic applications, used in settings like sex offender treatment programs to monitor progress and honesty. In order to monitor the progress and honesty of victims in sexual offender crimes, in order to monitor their progress and honesty, we use polygraph test. Next is controversies, reliability questioned due to individual differences and subjective interpretation. In order to avoid or end the controversies, which we have come across now, societal concerns. In order to end such controversies, we use polygraph test to reliably provide the statements. Next is legal aspects of polygraph test in India. This ma'am has already said about this. Article 20, Clause 3, which states that no person accused of any offense shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. This means that no one should be forced to to state a statement against himself. I should not be forced, for example, I should not be forced to state the witness or turn against me. I should not state anything I should not be forced to state anything regarding myself. It is something which is written in Article 20, Clause 3, that I should not be forced. No one should force me to go against myself, to give a statement against myself. And one thing, the result of polygraph examination is not accepted in Indian courts. In Indian courts, polygraph results alone is not a sufficient evidence. It acts as a substantial or supplementary evidence with other evidence. Polygraph examination results alone cannot be considered as a proper evidence in Indian courts. So, this much as my topic. This is end of my session. If there is any doubt, you can ask me now. No doubts?
I hope I am giving the answer to the questions. Uh, yeah. So, anybody else want to ask anything? I want to add one point in this polygraph PPT, that polygraph is a corroborative evidence. It is not a direct evidence. So, anybody know about the corroborative evidence? What is that?
It will support the, like, it acts as a supportive evidence.
Right. It is always a supportive evidence. It cannot be a direct evidence. This is the admissibility of the polygraph in the court. Anything else you want to ask? So there is a question, but ma'am, If we manipulate with our body language, what about that? How you will manage your sweat? How will you manage your heart rate? How will you manage your respiratory system? So that's why it is a polygraph, a multiple graph, not anything which is directly related to one thing only. It is a polygraph. It is a multiple graphs of different functions in the body. Is a lie detector 100%? It is not 100% correct. We cannot say about it, but we can say that 98% correct. Ma'am, by medication. How? What kind of medication? That's why I'm telling na कि nobody. It is a. It is very big responsibility of the expert who is going to conduct a polygraph on a suspect. He will ask the suspect that he should be refrained from medication, any kind of medication, at least 12 hours or 24 hours prior to the test. Yes, it is safe for human body. Yes, yes. During polygraph, it is always safe for human body. This is not a narco test in which any kind of drug will be injected. This is only the sensors on the body. Sorry, I cannot give the answer of this question. How to manipulate the polygraph? Anything else? An expert, psychologist can conduct the polygraph, or an expert of polygraph. So, do you have any other question? You can take 2 minutes. After that, we will take it forward. Ma'am, what the results regarding innocent reaction? See, once we will conduct this polygraph session, practically, you will understand how it works, how the procedure is going on. You will understand all these questions you are asking from me. You will see the graph, you will see the result. Is it enough to take consent from the individual, or we should take the consent from his or her? No, no. If the person is above 18 years, he is self-sufficient to give the consent. And below that, we will not conduct the polygraph on below 12 years for a child. Is there any disadvantage? No, there is no disadvantage as such. I mean, what kind of disadvantage you want to know? As such, there is no disadvantage. So now we will take it forward. Mr. Abhishek will continue the session. Man, what if the person is nervous and due to that he is sweating? See, if the person is nervous, there is, I have already mentioned that, na, ki there is nothing one, there is not a one graph. There are multiple graphs. There are multiple uh, indication in body, breathing, respiratory. I have already mentioned that the first expert will calm down the person. He will talk to him. He will counseling him. He will ask him to be calm down. He will ask her or him or a subject to take a deep breath or have some water so that he can be in calm state. It should be first in the calm state, or the person or the subject who is sitting on the chair should be in the calm state. Ma'am, are there any loopholes in the polygraph? At least small thing. So I cannot tell these things, these type of question. Please don't ask how to manipulate it, any loopholes, or how can we deceive the polygraph. I can only tell you about the advantages of polygraph. How I can tell you the correct admissibility or 100% correct or not, but I can't tell you that if there are any loopholes or how can we deceive the polygraph test. Anything else you want to know from me, you can ask. We will discuss about it later on. Now Abhishek will continue the session. uh, I will request Abhishek to continue the session.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Hello
sir.
everyone. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Abhishek Sam Praveen, and I'm currently working in Brilliant Forensic Investigation for a while now. And I will be taking the rest of the lecture for polygraph test. Let's talk about the future of polygraph testing. Before that, just let me just a second. Sorry, actually there was a technical issue. So let's talk about the future of polygraph testing. Nina, sorry about that. Anyways, let's talk about the future of polygraph testing. First, the emerging technologies and innovations. Where is it? Okay. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is a way where we can improve polygraph testing in the future. Like we can create AI and machine learning algorithms to enhance the accuracy of polygraph tests by better analyzing psychological data and identifying patterns that may indicate deception. Most of the times, the, these AI and machine learning algorithms can help us identify those patterns more accurately and clearly. Then, advanced sensors and wearable technologies. Advanced sensors, development of more sensitive and reliable sensors to measure psychology responses. Currently, we have a good level of sensors where, well, there needs to be more of an updation because the sensors are sometimes not reliable or can be slow, but it can be improved in the future with the incorporation of new biometric measures such as voice stress analysis, eye movement tracking, and brainwave activity like CCT, ECG. Then wearable technologies. You all know wearable technologies like smartwatches and all. So integration of polygraph sensors into these wearable technologies can allow for more natural and less intrusive monitoring. For continuous monitoring capabilities for long-term observation, like if someone is really nervous kind of guy like introverts, for those types of people we can implement these kinds of wearable technologies for them, so it will be less nervous for them and we can get more accurate results. Then let's talk about some case studies as it may help us understand how polygraph is used and help us in a case in a real life incident. So first, let's talk about Ayushi Talwar murder case. So Ayushi Talwar is a 13-year-old girl who was found murdered in a home in Noida, Uttar Pradesh. The case was initially thought that the family's domestic servant killed her. Well, that was not the case, as the domestic servant, whose name is Hemraj, was found dead in the terrace of the same house, complicating the case further. Well, the investigation was took over by the CBI from the Uttar Pradesh police due to allegations against the investigations that there was mishandling by the Uttar Pradesh police. Well, the case went through several twists and turns with multiple theories about the motives and the perpetrators. Well, polygraph tests were conducted on several individuals as there were no conclusive evidence to say who was the murderer in the case. So several individuals were uh, conducted for polygraph testing, like Dr. Rajesh and Dr. Nupur, who were Ayushi's parents and were the prime suspects, underwent polygraph test. The results of these tests were not publicly disclosed, so I cannot give the answers to that type of questions. Still, they were they underwent polygraph test, and then Krishna, Tadarai, Rajkumar, and Vijay. They were domestic servants who who were also subjected to polygraph test. Well, throughout the process, Krishna was initially arrested based on narco analysis tests. Anyways, let's look at the legal and ethical issues that this case faced. Admissibility in court. As in India, the results of polygraph tests are not admissible as a primary evidence as it violates many codes. However, they can be used to aid the investigation. So these polygraph tests can help us lead to another evidences which can help solve the mystery of a case. Consent and human rights. Well, polygraph test uh, uh, along with the narco-analysis and mapping, has raised a significant ethical and human rights concerns as polygraph test, which is done involuntary, can can uh, can affect the article is against the Article 20, Clause 3, and Article 21, which states that no one can involuntarily enter into a person's mental privacy. So the outcome Despite the polygraph test was conducted, the Arishi murder case was remained inconclusive for several years. But there was several leads which helped the case. During the polygraph test, we got several uh, leads from the polygraph test which helped us in finding the case, but still there is a lot of mystery left that simply many other reasons were also included. Anal- Analysis, effectiveness challenges and scrutiny. There is a lot of challenges that can be faced throughout the process of polygraphy. Now just wait for 2 minutes. I will show you some clips that may uh, help you understand polygraphy test more accurately. I will show you some clips from some movies that was recently released. Just wait 2 minutes.